It's 2017, and Sanjay arrives at Chennai airport. A fan spots him and takes a selfie with him before wondering what is the secret behind Sanjay's success. Sanjay turns the TV on while waiting for his flight and listens to a news channel reporting on all the war and bloodshed going on at Kargil, which once was a peaceful place. His mind goes back to the year 1999, when he first saw Madhu while boxing in his gym and couldn't take his eyes off of her. She performed a questionably impressive dance routine there. A politician is surrounded by media reporters who question him relentlessly about his wife's murder and what role he had to play in it. He gets hurt by their insensitivity, leaving an impact on Sanjay, who is one of the reporters. Sanjay arrives outside an apartment building with his cameraman and creates a makeshift drone camera to spy on the politician he was pursuing earlier. The politician admits to murdering his wife to his men, which Sanjay manages to get on camera. The politician continues coming up with his evil plan to distract the media's attention to another matter by creating a case of communal violence. One of the politician's men spots the camera spying on them and bursts the balloon it is floating on. Sanjay catches the camera while the politician's henchmen chase after him. Sanjay manages to fight them off and keep the camera safe, which exposes the politician and leads to him confessing to his crime. Sanjay gets high praise in the journalism field for scoring this footage. Meanwhile, Madhu is late at work, as her boss and the people on her news channel are waiting for her to start her show, because she was the one who came up with its whole concept. Madhu has been stopped by a traffic police officer. She talks his ear off, and he lets her go just to get rid of her incessant talking. Sanjay's colleague informs him that the police IG officer is waiting for him, and Sanjay walks up to him nervously, not because of his position, but because that man is his father. Sanjay and his father keep arguing about his salary. Sanjay's cameraman tells his colleague that Sanjay's father isn't a police officer, but a D-grade actor instead, who earns petty cash through small acting gigs and has the costumes and uniforms for many professions, one of which he is wearing right now. Sanjay's father finally leaves after getting a kiss on his bald head from his embarrassed son. Madhu finally gets to work and starts her talk show, where a major industrialist is her guest for the day. Madhu listens attentively and encouragingly as the industrialist shares his secret to success and gives life advice to the viewers. Madhu plays a clip on her show, which shows the industrialist feeding some ants, despite his busy schedule. Madhu inquires about his childhood and starts narrating how important his mother's role was in making him the successful and rich man that he is today. She asks him about his mother's whereabouts, and he lies that she's at home, when she is in fact at the studio, and Madhu brings her out to reunite the old woman with her son and grandson. Madhu calls out the industrialist on TV for neglecting his mother and sending her to an old age home. She continues to confront him for being ungrateful and forgetful of his mother's sacrifices, when the old woman jumps in to defend her son and convince Madhu that she is satisfied with her life and has no complaints. Madhu's words open the industrialist's eyes, who requests to stop the interview. He is ashamed of how selfish he has been, and thanks Madhu for bringing him back to his senses. He apologizes to his mother in front of everyone, and takes her away with him as Madhu wishes them all a happy Mother's Day. The CEO of Nandini Builders instructs his assistant Anita to make preparations for the auditor, who is about to visit them. He calls his mother Nandini, as he has been waiting for her at the office the whole day. He insists Nandini be by his side while he signs a really important document, but his mother has to perform a really important task. Madhu returns home to the warm welcome of her grandfather, who is even more affectionate to her than usual, because he is proud of her for the show she did today. Nandini is visiting them, and feeds her some sweets to congratulate her. Madhu's grandfather tells Madhu that he and Nandini will interview her today, and emotionally blackmails her into complying. Madhu starts narrating her life story, as her parents passed in an accident when she was just a kid. Since then, she has been living with her eccentric but very lovable grandfather. She also loves her Nandini auntie, who is the wife of Madhu's late father's friend and business partner, who also lost his life with Madhu's parents in that accident. She loves their huge and beautiful mansion, and jokes about how filthy rich they are. Nandini urges Madhu to marry her son. Madhu likes Nandini's son and doesn't have a problem with marrying him, but she just doesn't want to get married so soon, because she wants to fulfill her ambitions first. The 3 months she borrowed from them to think and consider are about to be over, and Nandini is beginning to get restless, because she wants Madhu to come to her home as soon as possible. Madhu gives in and agrees to be engaged to Nandini's son next week. Sanjay complains to the picture of his mother that she shouldn't have taught him to cook so well, as his father keeps taking advantage of his cooking skills. Sanjay and his friend are done with his father's shenanigans, but still have dinner with him while drinking beers. Sanjay's father gets drunk and starts acting erratically, but seeing him happy after so long is enough for Sanjay. Sanjay's and Madhu's cars bump into each other on the road, and Madhu confiscates Sanjay's car keys to punish him for crashing into her car. Their crews start quarreling among themselves for the keys. Sanjay notices that no damage came to Madhu's car, so he wants to move on with his day, but Madhu is insistent on calling the police. The traffic police inspector that Madhu dealt with before arrives, and Madhu and Sanjay start complaining about each other. Sanjay underplays his mistake, but the traffic police officer is already familiar with Madhu, so he decides to take them to the police station. After Madhu leaves, entrusting the keys to the officer, Sanjay employs the same tactic, talking the officer into letting him go and getting his car keys back. The president of Sanjay's society decides to organize a play, and casts Sanjay and Madhu to be Romeo and Juliet. They keep getting into arguments throughout rehearsals, until they successfully pull off all their romantic scenes together. Sanjay and Madhu both get the opportunity to cover the same news story from their new channels. They both are up for the task, and promise their bosses that they will be the first to telecast, among all the competition. When Madhu's grandfather tries to make her stay back from her trip, she jokes about sending him to an old age home, but he takes it seriously. They both get emotional, which only strengthens their bond. Madhu informs her grandfather that she's flying to Delhi for a week to attend her friend's wedding, during which he'll have to stay at Nandina's house. In reality, she's going on a work trip with her crew, but doesn't disclose the location of where they're headed. Sanjay also boards the same train with his crew, who are also equally clueless about their destination. Sanjay finally briefs his crew that they're going to Delhi to cover a fashion show, while Madhu boasts how there's a major wedding going on in Delhi, and her channel was called to cover it. Their journey is eventful and equally hilarious, as their crew members are all up to something at some point. Madhu gets a call from Nandini, who warns her to be safe and avoid talking to strangers. Her son Rahul tried to call Madhu, but couldn't reach her. Their train stops midway unexpectedly, because there is a problem with the tracks ahead. A man who seems extremely holy and pious appears in front of them out of nowhere, and signals them toward a huge and magnificent temple of Lord Hanuman, where a festival is being held in his honor. Madhu and Sanjay get off the train to visit the temple and join in on the festivities. When their train finally arrives at the Delhi railway station, Sanjay is greeted by a representative from his news channel, who has been waiting to receive Sanjay and his crew. Madhu is getting on a bus to Kargil with her crew, when she sees that Sanjay and his crew are also loading up their luggage on the bus and finding their seats. She calls him out for his lie of covering the fashion show shoot, and Sanjay retaliates by catching her in the lie of covering a huge wedding shoot. They both publicly make fun of each other on the bus, annoying all the other passengers. Sanjay's crew borrow some tapes from Madhu's crew and watch her engagement video, which Sanjay also peeks at from his seat. His eyes fall to the engagement ring on Madhu's finger, and he makes a sour face. They hear from the passengers how war is going on in Kargil, and people are running away. Sanjay's crew finds out that he's taking them to Kargil for coverage of war, and his assistant cameraman flips out on Sanjay, because he is not brave enough for the task. He wants to back out, when Sanjay gives a passionate speech about how it is a privilege for them to be able to convey the sacrifices of their soldiers to the public. Madhu overhears all this, and finally comes clean with her team that they're also going to Kargil. Both Madhu and Sanjay get to the Srinagar Medical Hospital with their crews, which is overly crowded, so they wait for their permission letters. They all see first-hand instances of soldiers being transported in helicopters, because they are severely injured and require urgent medical assistance. Sanjay and Madhu acquire their permission letters, and are about to proceed when Sanjay's cameraman quits, because he is scared to go ahead, and worries about his widowed mother, who will be left alone in the world if he doesn't make it back from this trip. Madhu's crew also makes up an excuse of getting sick and needing to be admitted to the hospital, so Sanjay and Madhu realize that their crew members have deserted them, and they will need to cover this dangerous story by themselves, while also competing with each other to get their tapes to their channels before the other one does. Sanjay and Madhu are en route to Kargil on a bus when a fat mama's boy passenger stomps on Sanjay's camera and breaks it. Madhu can't contain her joy and indirectly starts mocking how Sanjay is helpless now, and failed his mission before it even started. Sanjay doesn't hold back either, and starts rambling on about how having a camera is useless for Madhu, because she doesn't have a cameraman either. She might ask locals to shoot for her, which would produce poor footage, and she'll get in trouble with her boss too. He puts forward a proposition that would benefit them both. They will both use her camera, and take turns being each other's cameramen. In this way, they can both get their work done properly. Madhu agrees, because that is what works for her too. Then Sanjay gets up and gives a good beating to the man-child who broke his camera, while Madhu giggles. Their bus stops at Dras, Jammu, and Kashmir, where the roads to Kargil have been blocked. Madhu knows a shortcut that they can take to make it to Kargil, but there is a language barrier. They stop at a dhaba, and Sanjay struggles with understanding Punjabi, so Madhu helps him order, as she understands Punjabi to some extent, which is similar to Hindi. A lorry driver calls out to them to try the lassi, which is a famous beverage there, and jokes that Sanjay should learn Punjabi just as he learnt Hindi. A black jeep full of muscular men pulls up there, and one of them orders the lorry driver to do a dangerous task. He refuses to do the task, because he doesn't want to risk his life, so the men start to beat him up as Sanjay and Madhu watch the situation unfold in front of them. Madhu tells Sanjay that they are beating up the lorry driver because he is refusing to smell Pakistani and his lorry. Sanjay's sense of heroic justice awakens, and he protects the lorry driver from the men by taking them all down one by one. Madhu films his fight, while soldiers get to the destination and take away all that Sanjay has knocked down. Sanjay pours a jug of water on his head to cool himself off as the lorry driver gives his statement to the soldiers. Sanjay and Madhu salute the soldiers, and the lorry driver expresses his gratitude to Sanjay for saving his life. The lorry driver takes the responsibility of getting them to Kargil when he finds out their purpose, but he insists that they must attend his sister's engagement first. The lorry driver introduces them to his family and shows them the video of how Sanjay saved his and others' lives, which earns Sanjay great praise and applause from the lorry driver's family. Sanjay is enjoying the delectable Punjabi food when he sees Madhu walk down from her room in ethnic clothing that elevates her beauty even more. The lorry driver awkwardly informs Sanjay that Madhu has drunk bang, which is an alcoholic drink, by mistake, thinking it was lassi. Madhu gets intoxicated and starts dancing to random Hindi songs, so Sanjay joins in on the fun too. Madhu and Sanjay arrive at Kargil, which is a battleground for the ongoing war between India and Pakistan, who are lifelong rival countries. They are sitting in the colonel's office, who guides them on how this is a highly sensitive area and introduces them to Sahibdar Ganeshan, who knows how to speak many languages and will help them. Ganeshan wonders why they have come all this way to risk their lives, and feels proud of his country's journalism when he sees Sanjay and Madhu's patriotism and empathy. Sanjay takes Madhu's hand and helps her climb in the military truck, where soldiers celebrate their compatriot's birthday and wish him a long life, which is strange because their truck is headed to a location where they have no certainty about their life. One of the soldiers, Madhu from Delhi, shows his high spirits to Madhu and Sanjay. Madhu wears a charm on his hand, which he inherited from his father and will pass on to his son. Madhu starts reporting on the war, while there is ongoing gunfire and shots fired from both sides. Sanjay switches the tape and gives his take on the situation. Madhu and Sanjay take turns in capturing the courage and determination of their army as the soldiers fight, and some even lose their lives in the line of duty. At night, Sanjay films the soldiers suffering from their injuries, when he spots Madhu treating them with compassion and nursing their wounds. Sanjay and Madhu are living in a bunker for the first time, and try to focus on their work, but they keep getting glimpses of all the goodness and kindness they have observed in each other over the past couple of days. Their love-hate bond is changing, as love is beginning to overweigh hate. They both joke that they have nothing in common to talk about when an old man comes over to their bunker. He introduces himself as Ram Krishan Yadav, more commonly known as Tea Baba, because he supplies everyone with tea, and extends cups of masala chai to them as they tell in their names. Tea Baba candidly expresses his views on how friendship is far superior to enmity, as the people from their opponent's nation are just like them, and yet they fight because of political differences. The next day, Indian soldiers pray before heading off to war, and Madhu and Sanjay are recording the battle when they see a soldier getting shot in front of them. They bear the sight of a soldier getting pierced with bullets, and Sanjay jumps to the battleground to drag the wounded soldier back to safety. Ganeshan and Madhu call out after him to stop, while Madhu focuses the camera on him as he pulls the wounded soldier's body aside, despite the rain of bullets that could have hit him. Sanjay and Madhu are at the campsite later when Madhu waves to Tea Baba, who hugs Sanjay and thanks him for saving his son's life. Sanjay makes an effort to reply to him in Punjabi and embarrasses himself, so he jokes about how Tea Baba is just as bad at English as he is at Punjabi. Sanjay looks over to Madhu, who appears busy with her work, and he thinks to himself that she will never compliment him, no matter how noble of a deed he performs. Ganeshan appreciates Sanjay for his act of bravery, but also strictly prohibits him from breaking the rules again. He also mentions how Tea Baba considers every soldier at this campsite to be his son, and calls over to Madhu to inform her that she has a call to take. It is Madhu's grandfather who has called her, and he scolds her for lying to him and putting her life at risk. Madhu apologizes to him, and he gets emotional because he is worried about her well-being. Nandini is also concerned about her safety and wants to fly over there, when Madhu reminds them that the soldiers who are keeping their country safe can keep her safe too. Nandini inquires if there's anyone there with Madhu and demands to talk to Sanjay, despite Madhu's resistance. Sanjay takes over the phone receiver and promises to take care of Madhu and stay by her side, at Nandini's insistence. Sanjay's father also calls him, sobbing, because he also found out that Sanjay is at Kargil. Sanjay doesn't want him to cry, which is when his father tells him that he isn't crying, just cutting onions. He isn't sentimental like Madhu's family, and is more interested in knowing a recipe from him. Sanjay is about to hang up in embarrassment when his father insists to get a kiss from his son, because he misses him. Sanjay has no other choice than to give him a kiss on the phone, and make a fool of himself in front of Madhu. He tries to recover from his flustered state when Ganeshan takes a picture of them together. Sanjay finds Madhu in deep slumber in their bunker and turns on her camera to watch the tape she recently recorded. To his surprise, she has recorded a proper section of her program, giving him the due recognition he deserves. Sanjay watches Madhu's naive face and how innocent she looks in her sleep and smiles fondly. The next morning, he thanks her for her nice gesture. Madhu holds the camera as Sanjay interviews T. Baba to find out his story. He had served in the military too and fought in the 1971 Indo-Pak War until he retired. His son, Bahadur, was also in the army and was kidnapped, tortured, and murdered by the Pakistani army. He still believes that his son is alive and will return. He sees his son in every soldier and serves tea to all soldiers. Sanjay and Madhu are moved by the emotional account of his life when Madhu is brought to camp in critical condition. Madhu and Sanjay watch in distress as Madhu hangs on the edge, and the military doctor struggles to save his life. The doctor eventually concludes that he can't be saved, so he injects morphine into his system to make his passing as painless as possible. Madhu breaks into tears as Madhu cries for his father as he draws his last breath. She promises to get his sacrifice acknowledged by every Hindustani, including his family. He gives the charm to Madhu before passing away. Madhu cries uncontrollably in Sanjay's arms and stores the charm in a box for safekeeping. Sanjay is taking photographs of the battle, while Madhu is recording at a distance with Gainshan. When a missile is shot in her direction, Sanjay warns them and they don't get hurt, but as the dust settles, Sanjay can't be found. Madhu finds his ID card lying on the ground with some blood splattered on it, and frantically searches for him. She bumps into him unexpectedly. He has been looking for her too, and is worried sick. They both admit how much they care about each other when Gainshan takes a picture of them. Sanjay gives a scarf to Madhu, and they both find themselves thinking about each other at night. Their love has grown like a flower in a battleground. Sanjay helps write a letter on a soldier's behalf to a lover that has abandoned him. Madhu gets a call from her fiancé Rahul, and hangs up on him when she sees Sanjay. He has earned Madhu's affection by looking out for her. Gainshan urges Sanjay to confess his feelings to Madhu, but he won't do it because she's engaged. Madhu is also keeping her feelings at bay for the same reason, but decides to have faith in the power of her true love. India wins the war, and Madhu and Sanjay are ready to go home to their families. Ganesh hands them their photographs as a parting gift. Madhu and Sanjay fulfill their promise and return the charm to Madhu's father, and narrate the tale of his bravery. Madhu's father is proud yet heartbroken about his father's loss, and regrets not being fully expressive of his love for his son. This teaches Sanjay and Madhu to not hide their feelings for those they love. Sanjay is about to confess to Madhu when he picks up a call on her phone. It's Nandini on the other side, who invites him to Madhu's wedding, which is in 10 days. Madhu is about to propose to Sanjay until he mentions her upcoming wedding, and she loses all courage. Yet they both can't stop thinking about each other, even when they get home and go on with their lives. Nandini is planning Madhu's wedding when a call from T. Baba invokes feelings in Madhu's heart again. She comes to Sanjay's house, but he's away. Sanjay comes to see her as soon as he finds out, and is walking to her, until Madhu's family and their excitement breaks his spirit, and he leaves. But fate has other plans, as Nandini comes across the photographs, and she reacts emotionally when Madhu wants to break off her engagement. Madhu realizes that Nandini is upset because she found out that Rahul's having an affair with his assistant Anita. She calls off the wedding, because Rahul doesn't deserve Madhu. Madhu heads to Sanjay immediately, just like she is walking towards him now. At the airport all these years later, Sanjay hugs his wife, who looks as beautiful as she did all those years ago.